We're going to get started, guys. So today, Wednesday, March 20th, 2024, it's 5 p.m., and this is the Downtown Development Authority regular meetings. So let's start by doing the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Brian, you mind doing a roll call?
Sure. Supervisor Aliaga.
Here.
Mr. Gittens.
Here.
Ms. Harper.
Here.
Mr. Milzo, absent. Trustee Morocco.
Here.
Mr. Neiman, he is absent. Ms. Petzold.
Here.
Mr. Yankee is absent, and Mr. Zatuna.
Here.
All right.
All right. Very good. So the first item is item D. So we've got an approval of minutes. So we should have all gotten the minutes. I'd like to make a motion to approve those minutes.
And I will second.
All right. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right. So moving along, presentations. I don't believe we have a presentation today. Is that correct? Okay. So review our agenda. So I'm pretty sure we jumped down to I. We need to do an election of our officers. And so we've got chairperson, vice chairperson, secretary, and treasurer. So we need to vote on who we would like to be those acting members. Currently, I'm the acting chairperson. Gus is the vice chairperson. And for treasurer, that's Nate Neiman. But we can all vote on these. So should we start with chairperson?
I'll make a nomination for David to remain the chairperson.
A second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? All right. So secondly, vice chairperson. I would like to make a motion to keep Gus as the vice chairperson.
Support that.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right. All those opposed, sorry? Nobody, all right. So secretary, so this is the person that's going to be keeping the minutes. Anybody like to make a recommendation?
Currently, you're doing it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's doing it.
We have a recording secretary, so all you have to do is really just review the minutes and sign them, at the next meeting. So don't worry, there's no pressure.
Okay.
You gotta take minutes.
Okay. So he's gonna be doing that. So we don't need a secretary.
Yeah,
We do. We still
still
do.
need
Still
one.
need one.
All right.
It's
The
just-
person needs to sign the minutes.
just-
All right.
Okay.
I would nominate Kimberly
Okay.
Harper.
Okay, I'm with the nomination.
Okay.
Okay.
You support the nominations? Okay.
Mhm.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, and then lastly, the treasurer. So this is the person that's going to be looking at our financial services and the budget.
I guess that's what we're saying.
Keep Nate,
No?
propose Nate to stay.
Was he?
Well,
Is he going
Nate
to-
was the secretary.
Oh, sorry.
yeah, Nate was,
I
yeah.
had him as the treasurer, sorry.
Oh, I thought he was a treasurer.
I thought he was the
No.
treasurer too.
I did
so
too.
had to-
Secretary.
Well,
That's why I made the switch, because I know he sometimes has a lot of conflict, so I thought that you would
Yeah,
be
I-
here for that more often.
I agree that we should probably have somebody that's going to be able to attend most of these meetings.
What does the job pertain to? What does it entail?
Dick, do you want to talk about the treasurer and what it does, what its purpose
Sure.
is in the bylaws?
Well, basically, it would be to, work with consultants slash staff in developing the budget. It would simply be, the board member that would at least have a handle on, on where we were financially. I mean, remember that we have township staff that's going to be providing this information. So it's essentially the person who essentially, when you propose a budget, your treasurer would be the one actually submitting that budget on behalf of the board to the township board. And we're going to, just by the way, something that will come up later is this year we're going to need to come up, now that we have money, we're going to have to come up with a budget. So we've worked, the township does have a budget director, and we've assisted the DDA or the CIA in the past in putting that budget together. So it's essentially working, with us to make sure we get a budget that reflects what the board would like to do.
All right, very good. Does anybody feel like that'd be a good job title for them? Okay. Kendall or Sam? Kendall or Sam? Should we put-
I mean, we both probably have the flexibility to do it.
The only thing I'm hesitant on is just my position with the chamber, but it's up to you, Sam. I'm happy.
I don't have a strong finance background. I don't know if that's relevant or not. Huh?
I'm just saying, the supervisor, it's ultimately, he's gonna look at the budget anyway, so it might behoove us to use the supervisor.
I could as well, but,
I'd like to nominate Kendall.
yeah, Kendall is fine.
I'd like to nominate
Okay.
Kendall if
she's
she's
gonna-
willing.
Okay.
All right,
I will.
I will second Kendall.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, so we have our members. Awesome. The next line item is a meeting schedule and activities. Before I pass it over to Dick, I was looking in the notes, in the meeting notes, in the minutes, and seeing that last time we voted, we wanted to make these once a quarter at 6 p.m. And this one was at 5, so I don't know if that's why other members weren't able to be here on time, if they thought it was going to be at 6. But I think that if we're going to say 6, we should stick to 6. If we need to move it to 5, then we move it to 5. And I also think that maybe we should meet more often. I know that we're lacking in funds, but we have a lot of planning to do of how to allocate those funds. So,
Yeah,
So-
I would suggest that we try to meet at least every other month, and then our subcommittees try to meet monthly, so that there's 2 months for the subcommittee, to do their research, and then come back. I think at a minimum, just to get this off the ground, we gotta get some time in here on this thing,
I agree.
I think.
Yeah.
I like bi-monthly.
Bi-monthly, okay.
I'm flexible with the time, either or.
Yeah, I think monthly at least, once a month.
Or
Do you want the whole group to meet once a month, or I think Dave, were you planning on
Oh.
doing subcommittees?
Yes,
Or-
yeah, we're going to talk about subcommittees, but as far as us meeting as a board, I think
What do you
bi-monthly, every
think?
2 months.
every 2 months is good, yes.
As the whole board?
Okay.
Yeah,
Yes,
yes,
I would be in favor of that.
yeah. 6 p.m.,
at 6 p.m.
at 6 p.m., okay. So that give more flexibility to people that want
5
us to
o'clock
come.
would be a hardship for me.
Yeah.
Is everyone
So
good with?
6
the-
o'clock is okay.
Is everyone good with the third Wednesday? Because that looks like on the calendar, that's free, so
Yes.
we can, okay.
Do we need to make a motion for this?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to make a motion to do the third Wednesday of every other month, starting in May, at 6 p.m. Do I
I
have a
second that.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Any opposed? No. All right. Awesome.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
this is Dick. Just one real quick note to the board. By law, by the enabling law, you have to have, there has to be 2 public information meetings per year where we have to send notice to the other taxing jurisdictions and invite them to attend a meeting to hear about your activities and express any opinions that they have. We've done this with the CIA ever since the law was in effect, and we don't ever have anybody show up, but we still have to do it. So I just want you to know that with the CIA, we do it in the fall. Before we have one meeting at the actual CIA board meeting, and then what we've been doing is having the other public information meeting at the township board, which is perfectly fine in accordance with the law. What it does two purposes. One is it satisfies the requirements of the law to have the public information meeting, and two, it gives us an opportunity to present to the township board just what the boards, the CIA and now the DDA boards are doing. So we could actually do that, and then your second meeting, it would be done in combination with the CIA before the township board, and it wouldn't necessarily have to be a general meeting. It would not have to be a meeting of the DDA. So that's my recommendation to you.
So-
I think we did that in December last year.
Okay, so that would be one of our 2 meetings. So we could do that in
Yeah.
the fall, and then we'd have to do another public information hearing. And how many months do we need to give notice? Or how long?
I'd have to go back. I'd have to go back, Dave. I don't remember, but we do that second meeting at the township board in December.
Okay,
And it's always been the first meeting of December. So that's just a recommendation, but you don't have to necessarily decide that, but we certainly just have to keep in mind that sometime, your whatever meeting falls in place in the fall, that we have to do that public information meeting, and we will make sure that the notice requirements are met. We'll plan this in advance, but we'll make sure that the notice requirements are met too.
okay. All right, but just so I'm clear, it has to be 2 meetings, right? And that could be one
Yes,
of
two,
them.
but, yeah, that can be one of them, but the second one doesn't have to be, you don't have to hold the second meeting, just as long as it's a public meeting. And I think the advantage of doing it before the township board is that it's an opportunity to inform the township board of the activities. Plus, if by chance the taxing jurisdiction wants to come and speak about it, they're going to be before the jurisdictional body that has authority over you and the CIA. So that's the way we've been taking it, and nobody's questioned us about it yet. So,
Okay,
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
I'm looking at the calendar that we would be meeting in November. The third Wednesday appears to be the day before Thanksgiving, so maybe the 20th, if the room's, I gotta check if the room's available. But the 20th of November, maybe that's where we do the first informational meeting, and then we take that right to the township board for the second one.
okay, which is in December?
Yes.
Okay. All right, sounds good. So,
I'm sorry, what day is that in December?
I'll have to look at the board schedule, so.
all right, so, Dick, is there anything else that you want to talk about as far as the meeting schedule or activities or the update in TIF revenue?
well, I will be happy to talk about the TIF revenue. Just for the information of the board, we anticipate that in this year, you will be capturing, and it's calendar year, but you will be capturing approximately $120,000, some of which has already been captured, but not the bulk of it. Most of it will come in with the summer tax collection. And then next year, our projections indicate that it's going to increase to something in the neighborhood of $160,000. That's a conservative estimate. We actually think it will be more. So that gives you a ballpark idea that over the next 2 years, you're going to have in the neighborhood of, probably in the a neighborhood of close to $300,000 in TIF revenues, which to work with, which then I think sort of informs your next, your discussion about activities in terms of what you want to do and how you want to proceed, knowing that kind of revenue is coming in. And There's obviously a lot of preparation and planning that goes into your activities before you're actually going to really start to spend real money. So uh, that's for the board's information. But that we pretty much anticipate that those revenues numbers are going to be pretty much ballpark, and that's what you're looking at.
Okay, very good. So Supervisor Aliaga, do we have any update on the signs?
Sure.
Okay.
So, my office, we started working together. It takes a lot of time to get it right. We look into the details. Very soon, we're gonna put the RFP. So it's calling for bids. So we're gonna do it hopefully in the next couple of weeks. I'm pushing really hard. We have to look the details and all that. We met with NDOT with Brian. I think, Brian, you went in the meeting, I recall, when I met with NDOT and asked the questions about the signage. So it's a lot of process, so we need to start with the RFP. After that, we're gonna contact the county and NDOT, which we established a good relationship with NDOT. And they told us the process could be between 1 up to 6 months, but he says NDOT is gonna try to help us as much as they could. Right now, we're in the process. Now, it was brought to my attention if for Dixie Highway, for the signage of Welcome to Independence Township, now that we approved the new logo, is the DDA is gonna pay for that or the township? I will try to run it to the township first. It will be more, I think, easy to put a NAIF and ask the township board to pay for that. That way, these revenues that we're gonna collect is gonna be used directly for improved Dixie Highway, because the signage, I think we can cover through the township board. That's my idea, but unless Dick or Brian have a better suggestion for us. But we are working on it right now. It takes time, but my office is working, hopefully,
I was just wondering what the road commissioner, the MDOT's got, what they got to do with our signs.
is some permits about the easements. We hopefully, Brian and Dave Moran has been driving around, and they actually look for some locations. Dave Moran already gave me some pictures, but there's also some licensing of permits, right,
Well,
Brian?
if we're gonna have a sign in the road right away, then yeah, we'll need a permit, but
Mhm.
we haven't even determined that yet.
Right.
Yeah, no, we're
So-
working on it, yeah.
I mean,
Well,
this
I mean,
sounds like a good opportunity for the
Right.
EDA to have a subcommittee on.
Well, my concern is that I don't want the township board to be involved in the signage on Dixie Highway. I want the DDA to be involved in what we're gonna do with the signage on Dixie Highway, and then we'll recommend to the board what we've come up with. I think I don't want the township board to just throw a welcome sign up and then screw up everything that, a better plan or a better branding or a better thing that we're doing, because in my opinion, I'm not interested as much as putting up a sign with the township logo on it as I am making it, identifying the corridor and the Dixie Highway at the same time that you can identify the township. But
Yeah.
I think the Dixie Highway entranceway, and I've talked to Dick about maybe some potential locations of that, maybe making it bigger than just a sign, making it a park, a gathering space or something like that, possibly where there's some buildings that are for sale or there's some vacant property. So I just don't want to, we've tried to do this for decades. I don't want to just hurry up and slap a Welcome to Independence sign up on the side of the road on the Dixie corridor. I think that what you're talking about at the other points of entry to the township where it says Welcome to Independence or stuff like that, which we haven't had either, is a little bit different. I think that, in my opinion, we should consume the Dixie entranceway as part of our, us putting a lot of effort into it and then making suggestions for that particular section, because I think it's going to be bigger. I'm hoping that we can make it bigger than a sign.
Yeah.
The identification of the corridor and stuff,
Yep.
Yeah. It still has
Yeah,
to
I
be cohesive, though, right? We want it to be cohesive with the township. It doesn't, maybe it doesn't need to be the same, but, it's the brand, right? Independence Township is the brand, right? Coca-Cola is the brand.
Right.
You want it
Right.
to work
yeah.
together.
I mean, the text can be can be similar.
Sure.
But I think our biggest statement in the township is going to be from Waterford to Independence on Dixie, not winding through the lakes on Sashaba or coming up Clintonville Road by Man. Those aren't going to be our staple welcome center, let's say, is what
Right.
I'm thinking about,
Listen, I don't have any problem with that. I mean, we can actually move forward with the board with Sashaba. We can move forward also with North Dixie because I mean, if you think you guys gonna work in subcommittee to put the input something, I agree with that. It's fine. Because I know that. Excuse me.
I'm sorry, I just need to input here. I think we're putting the cart before the horse with this. I think we need to, first of all, figure out what signage we're anticipating and to do and what we're actually deciding. And most definitely, I feel that the township needs to work with the DDA in designing where to put it. But depending on where we put it, it could be quite expensive and we may not get any of that. So our ideal location may not be something we want. And until we determine that, I don't see how you can go forward in setting up a plan until you really know what you got at your access.
Sure.
We don't know what the signage, we don't know and the road department's
Sure.
gonna figure out how large we can put it and where we can put it, especially if it's in the right of way. So,
It's,
So.
I don't see us putting it in the right of way.
No.
if I could,
Okay.
Mr.
Sure,
Chairman, yeah, on Dixie Highway, you're not going to be putting a sign in the right of way. There is no right of way to put.
right. So then
Yeah.
that leaves us with purchasing easement area,
Right.
which is not gonna be within this little budget that we've got right here. So that's what I'm saying, it's not just the sign, there's a lot more to getting
Right.
where that sign needs to be placed. And depending on where you'd like it, might.
And we're not confined to this dollar amount. We can borrow money against future revenue to do it. So we're not gonna settle for a place we can get for $100,000 if we don't want to.
But still, it might sway where
Sure.
you choose to place it.
Sure.
So what I did is I consult with other supervisors, for instance, Orion. They just finished putting signs all over Orion. If you drive to Clarkston Road, they you have signs, welcome, all that. But the first step before we were moving forward was approve the new logo. That idea was postponed for more than 40 years. Finally, we get it done. Well, it took time too, but we did get it done. Now, we have an association called OCAS, where we have all the supervisors meetings. So I ask questions. Instead of spending a lot of money in consulting people, I got information firsthand for other supervisors, how they done it before. And they give me a lot of good recommendations. We take the data, we look at it. This is okay. We're gonna do it something more efficient like Orion did. But we're not gonna copy and paste because I agree with you. We are different. We have different, like Dixie, M15, Sashaba, they have their own problems, issues, and all that. So I'm very careful about it. If the DDA wanna borrow money and do it for Dixie, I don't have any problem with that. I'm fine with that, I support it. You guys wanna create a subcommittee, that's fine. But doesn't mean I'm gonna stop with North Dixie Highway, which is not part of the DDA. Doesn't mean I'm gonna stop for the parks. The parks already approved their own budget to put a new signage. I'm not gonna wait for one committee to tell me, hey, Joe, let's wait for that. No, I'm gonna move forward with others because the budget's already approved for many years. But I have been holding them for many years also to not have the signage because, for instance, Sashaba Plains, we have a very old sign for probably 50 years ago. We have the budget, but we didn't have the logo. And a lot of things were in hold for many years. And I don't hurry up either because since I took office on the November 2022, I was working on this. But it takes a lot of time.
It does, and I would.
I want to finish.
and
I just want to finish my
yeah.
idea. Can I finish? Because I let you
Yes.
finish everybody here. I don't cut anybody here. So I got expert. We even hired a consultant from Lansing to help us to be able to open doors with NDOT, with Oakland County and everything. So I do this very carefully. And I never says, hey, I'm gonna do something crazy. I would like to have input from you guys, and it's fine. I wanna do it right, Sam, and if you guys wanna create a subcommittee tonight, that will help because I don't wanna postpone for the next meeting. If you think this has to be done, it's fine. Borrowing money, I don't know, Sam, because we can move it, and at the end of the day, the Board of Trustees will approve it.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah, all right.
yeah.
And I would not intend to suggest that the rest of the township would delay based on our board. Our board only is in concern with the DDA, but we also have to be similar as far as design and locations and that sort of thing. So we have to work in conjunction with placing signs with the township.
Yeah, and sorry, like yesterday in the board meeting, we have a board meeting, and someone brought, hey, we have the intersection of Way Lake and Dixie Highway, one of the most dangerous areas in Northern Oakland County. And then during the discussion, you remember that, we says maybe the DDA was able to address that directly with our funds, but that's gonna take some significant money.
That's
And then I say, if we take money for the signs, we take money from this 300,000, I write it off, starting saving money for save this intersection, which is affect everybody that live in the township, and we can actually work with the board of trustees after this subcommittee says, hey, Jose, this is the signage we want, this is where we want the location, but I want the board of trustees to help us with that. That's what I was talking about.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
if I could just add, I think, what I'm hearing, there are really two objectives here. And perhaps the term, I heard the term similar, but maybe complementary is a more encompassing term, because what I think the objective here is really twofold. One is that, yes, it is indeed to identify that you are entering Independence Township, but two, I think as Sam suggests, is also that it's going to meet some objectives of the Downtown Development Authority. And I can't underestimate the value of improving the image of the corridor. And this is a great opportunity for image building with an impressive entryway, particularly at the delineation between Waterford and Independence Township boundary. So you got some opportunities here, and that's where working with the board. If there is a piece of property there that is able to be acquired and you can achieve more than one objective, boy, you've really hit a home run then. So I think that's the kind of thinking maybe that you can bring to the table. And for the benefit of the township board, you have a body now who's an implementing body, who can get things done where, we haven't had this resource before. So that's the real opportunity that lies here, and a lot of good creative thinking can bring it forward, really.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. Thank you, everybody, for sharing your thoughts. I think that's super productive for these meetings. So we talked about subcommittees. At minimum, there has to be a 3-person committee. So maybe we need to put together a subcommittee that's going to work on location, work on signs and logo, and work on designing where we're gonna put these things and how we can hopefully work with the board. At the end of the day, whatever we come up with is going to have to be approved by the township board. So I'm sure they're going to want to keep things complementary. So is there anybody that wants to spearhead a subcommittee?
I do.
Okay, Sam.
Okay.
I'll be on that committee.
All
I'll be on that committee as well.
right.
Okay, Gus, Sam, and Kendall, we need a motion for that.
Okay.
Well, let's get down what we're gonna do. I'd like to state what I think I would like to first focus on the entranceway from Waterford to Independence with our group, on sign placement, magnitude of the space, the creation of an entranceway space, let's say, opposed to just a sign. And there are some parcels that we've been looking at that we can talk about. I think that's what our focus should be on, not as much as the sign design or any of that type of stuff, but the creation of setting the mood or the feel of coming into the corridor is more what I think our subcommittee is gonna. I think we should spend the focus on that. So because that's gonna take the most time to get organized. The sign thing, I think, will be what the sign looks like will be the easier part of it. Then the placement and the visibility and the proximity to the entrance to the corridor and those types of things, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Sam, I would only, I guess, I would agree, I would agree with you. Just one further suggestion, though, that, I mean, I think, you know, the DDA's input and the subcommittee's input in terms of what this thing looks like is super important too,
Right.
because this is part of image building. And, you know, we also talk about, in the plan, about, introducing public art into the corridor. And this is a great opportunity. I was mentioning to somebody today that I think it was Sam, actually, when I was finding out if he still had his old notes, that we have a community here that we work with in Washtenaw County. In fact, I live in it. It's called Pittsfield Township, and they've turned their signs into public art. They're beautiful. And I'm going to take some pictures and supply those to you because I think it's pretty inspirational what you can do with a simple sign. So just some thoughts.
Okay, yeah, great. And so that will be part of the subcommittee. Did you say everything you wanted to say, Sam, as far as?
Yeah,
what
I
you-
think that Dick, I thought I did talk to him about that, and that's kind of it, I said it differently, but more I want to create the feel and the space and the vibe as you're coming in, more than the text, but that also plays with the art, you know, that if that could be some, you know, that we, you know, a lot of towns have an entranceway type Veterans Memorial Park or a welcoming park or something, not just a sign there, you know, especially because we're in a walkable, sidewalked area. So just that it's going to, you know, something to be more than a sign, you know, I think is the goal. Gus has a question.
Okay, so what makes sense also, like when you enter to it, would be more stands out, like a downtown, put up, you know, the flags on the light poles. Depends every season. Could be Halloween, it could be Christmas, could be whatever, you know, like Thanksgiving, 4th of July, different flags, and that way, you know, within season, every season it change. And for that stretch of area, you know, like you're in that corridor in that downtown DDA of the Independence.
Is there going to be another committee that?
That focuses on
On
something different.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a wise idea. I mean, we have a large number of people, so we could have one committee that focuses on where are we going to put the signs. We could have another committee that focuses on what are the signs going to look like, and then we can bring them together and, you know, hopefully, you know, match them
Yeah.
up, and that'll I think expedite some of these meetings, you know.
Yeah, I think I think the corridor identification and the flags or you know, something to identify the corridors is going to take some time itself, just that topic of identifying the corridor. You know, if we could work on identifying the corridor and work on how to identify the corridor with a different, you know, with those subcommittees, like you're saying, I think
Yeah.
that gets us there faster, you
Yeah.
know, because it's too much for one group to work on,
Right.
you know. We've got other,
Other people, yeah.
Mr. Chairman, again, Sam, that's correct. I mean, if you go, I'm just going to refer you back to the plan, because one of the elements of the plan is branding of the corridor. And I think that's what Gus is referring to. How do you want to brand that corridor to, you know, that's part of the image building effort. So I think you really have to, these are two efforts, they're complementary, but the amount of work that has to be done for both of them is sufficient to have two committees. But actually branding is, 20 years from now, what do you want people to, how do you want them to think of the corridor as a result of your efforts? That's what branding's about. So I think that's a major effort that you could easily have a subcommittee work on.
Dick, what about, you know, we had talked earlier about maybe a contest with local companies, you know, with the chamber involved or something, that we, as a free sideline, put out the word that that we're looking for branding, recommendations from local businesses that are tied to the corridor, so that we get some free brain power going at it too,
Well, I mean, that's up to you, and I think that's probably, those are the discussions you have at a committee level, Sam. But I think, I mean, for example, I was thinking, like with these signs, I mean, really, what you need is you need a designer, you need somebody to design them, see what, this is, and that's where the more creative minds are out there, and if you can find local people to do it, boy, that would be great. So yeah, I think that you ought to concentrate your discussions first and sort of figuring out what it is you want to do, and then figuring out the type of people, whether they're within the community or from outside the community, that can best help you get it done. And you may not find that there's typical branding type consultants that are good people with branding expertise that are in the community, but who knows? We're always surprised sometimes. Definitely when it comes to the sign design, I mean, I think you have some artistic talent probably within the community that could really be part of your committee and give you some great advice.
Yeah, okay. So, from what it sounds like, we should probably make 2 committees, one as a branding committee and one as a location, logistics, where's the sign gonna be type subcommittee, right?
Correct.
Okay. So, I'd like to make a motion to allow a subcommittee with 3 members, Sam, Kendall, and Gus, to be in charge of finding out where these signs would be located.
On the DDA district.
On the DDA district, yes. On Dixie Highway.
Okay, I second that.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right. And then, so a second subcommittee will be made up of myself, Jose.
I'm in a lot of committees.
Okay, all right, so we'll.
How about
if they were
Eric?
here.
Eric, probably.
So Eric and Kim, and we will be in charge of putting together ideas for design of what these signs will look like.
And just on that topic, if you don't mind, so I think we have the entranceway type of sign, Are you guys thinking that, like, we're gonna come up with our own slogan for Dixie, like, shop Dixie, or, or experience Dixie, or, some theme? Is that what you're talking about? I mean, because that's different than like the township signs, because I don't think that's what we're not gonna litter Dixie Highway with the Independence Township bell. There has to be whatever the brandings, or the logo, or the tagline for our district.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys, hold on, so what you're saying is you guys gonna have different logos in the township?
No,
No,
the
so-
township has its own logo,
Right.
but Dixie Highway is more than the Independence Township bell. I don't think that gets us
That-
anywhere hanging the
That's
township
what I'm
logo up. It needs to be
So-
a destination or a vibe of
Some kind of
Dixie
slogan.
somehow,
The slogan, okay, no, I thought the logo is gonna be, you says you don't want the bell from the township.
No, I
so-
didn't, no, I'm
No, okay.
saying the entranceway sign will have the township logo on it.
Right,
The branding of Dixie Highway is a
Right.
different branding
brand,
than the
okay.
township, in my opinion. It needs
Okay.
to relate to to Dixie.
The purpose.
The purpose of
Right.
Dixie, why you would go to Dixie, shop Dixie, whatever, some
Right.
kind of, something more like that, that's related to the corridor, more so than the township itself. We're not branding the township, I mean, that's what I'm thinking. I don't know what you guys.
Was your question to see if that second committee is working on that, or the first committee?
Just
Or
the
in
second
general?
committee, I'm thinking that that's what part of the second committee's task is, to come up with a creative identity of the corridor.
Yes.
Um,
The second
Yeah,
committee
right.
would be about branding. So that would
Right.
include, do we come up with a slogan? What's it gonna look like? Do we get artistic input? What are if we put flags on light poles, what are they gonna look like? So it'll be the actual brand in the image. Whereas the first committee will be, where are we gonna put these things? Is there land that we need to buy?
Right.
Stuff like that.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'm always going to be sort of a pain here because I'm going to remind you all,
Yes.
you know, of the plan.
Okay.
And that's what's in the plan. This is the plan you adopted, and what you are saying now is exactly what's in the plan.
Yes.
The two priority items were branding and entryway signage, and then also potentially wayfinding within the court, which I would say that's probably a little bit down the road. But branding is the plan says it's branding and identity for the district is considered a priority item as it promotes the area as a community focused, enhancing regional appeal and business attraction. So that, to me, I mean, a committee of sort of big thinkers is what that branding issue is all about. And that's also going to help inform the sign committee in terms of how the signage should be really identified also. So it's got to be working in concert with one another in terms of, because you don't want to keep recreating an image. You want to think about it first and then follow that theme with everything you do down the road.
Yes, I agree. And with these subcommittees, if I'm not mistaken, we can incorporate the CCA, the people that live within the community, to
Absolutely.
help us out
Yep.
with their input too. We've got a lot of
Yep.
young, bright people on there too that can, that might have their own creative ideas. So,
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's what we were hoping for by recruiting all those folks. So yes.
great.
Would it be okay for us to send an email out, Dick, to the residents on the committee and ask them if any of them want to join these subcommittees?
Absolutely.
You know, then we
Absolutely.
could pick up a couple more for our committee and.
For sure.
And
Great
the
idea.
benefit is that, the more of those folks that you involve, the more they may know people who have some expertise. There may be people in the community that are involved in a business that has been through a branding process and has some particular expertise in it. So that, I think this is really good. I mean, I think the more people you can involve, the more good ideas will come out of it. And the more legitimacy there will be for the decisions that you make then.
Okay. Last question, hopefully, in this topic. Do we need to schedule that time that we meet at this meeting? Or can that be something that's done outside of this meeting, within the subcommittees? Or do we need to state subcommittees meet once a month?
No, I think the subcommittees can decide. It's up to you. But I think you you have a leader of each committee, and it kind of sounds like with the branding, David, it's you, and the sign, it's Sam, is that you organize when because it's got to be done when it's convenient for people. But yeah, you should meet before your next meeting and come back with a report.
Yes. Okay. All right. So we have the motion for where the signage is going to be for that subcommittee. And so now I'd like to make a motion for a branding subcommittee that will be myself, Eric Yankee, and Kim. Do I have a second?
Support.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, awesome. So, great. So I'm glad we got that. I'm looking forward to that. The next item of business is an update about a grant writer. Do we have anything, Jose, about a grant writer? Have we hired anybody?
Well, I asked the board to help the board of trustees to help me so I can have a full-time person help us with write grant. Because I saw that that's gonna help, because in many other cities, when they have somebody like that in the staff, they find so many grants and then basically that position pay itself. Well, the board don't wanna go that direction. They give me the direction they want the township to hire a 1099 employee. It was very difficult. Basically, we don't get not much application for 1099 because most people, they wanna work, wanna benefits and all that. It was very difficult. So then, and most of the departments have or local engineers, they're doing that for us. And since we hired a consultant, a very big firm, they has been bringing some substantial amount of money from their current clients in Orion and Rochester. For Orion, they got $10 million for the roads, which is a lot of money from appropriation from Lansing. The board took the direction to hire this consultant company. They have been meeting with each department to evaluate, to see the needs of each department, and they're currently working. So my idea now, we didn't hire a grant writer because of that, but we have a consulting company that's gonna help us with the grants, find some grants according to our needs. So what I would do is I would set up a meeting with that consultant company with the DDA to evaluate our needs, and they're gonna help us to reach some money from appropriation for Lansing, if it's there some money, or find some grants and help us out with all that. So they already working with us since January, so far we don't have a grant writer, but we have a consultant company is gonna help us with that.
You're referring to the lobbyists.
The mean was from Lansing, that's helping us
Yeah.
out,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay. If I could add into this though, that, if I'm remembering this correctly, Jose, I mean, they may be identifying sources of funds, but somebody has to put the work together. And I've mentioned before that all of your consulting firms that work for you, there's 3 engineering firms, there's our firm, all have experience in writing grants. So if indeed, what's good is having somebody in Lansing, because that's that there's a lot of little monies that come available up there that are not always published. But anyway, every one of your consultants can assist you with, for example, when we get into some of the transportation and the non-motorized transportation stuff, all of your engineering firms, but 1 or 2 in particular have had a lot of experience in obtaining grants for that kind of work. So all in all, it'll get covered.
Okay, well, I'm willing, anyways, I'm willing to bring the consulting firm to look into our needs, and I'm pretty sure they're gonna help us to find some money. We already hired them, and they're working currently with us.
Okay.
Okay?
Can we get the consulting firm, since we have a schedule now for the 3rd Wednesday in May, do you think you can have them come to that next meeting?
I believe so.
Okay.
I believe, yes. Brian, can you take a note for that? Okay.
Okay. And then if I'm hearing you right, it sounds like, Dick, you could potentially help us to draw up grants if need be. Your
well,
firm.
and I don't know, hey, listen, I'm always happy to defer to anybody on that, especially, and I don't know who specifically the supervisor is speaking about, but like I said, we also do it, but also so do your engineers. So of course, if there's an opportunity out there, we're gonna help you figure that out.
I'm talking about Midwest as the company we hire. And
Okay.
then they're willing to do the whole service for us. And then after they find out our needs, they're gonna go and looking for that money. Is it for appropriation, or is maybe some grant in the state have it or the federal level, but they're gonna do the work for that, the research and all that. So we don't have to do that. It's their job to find the money for us. If we need to write a grant, then we look who currently provide the service for us. Can be Mr. Carlisle, can be some other engineers, but we have everything ready to go. So I will make sure the
Yeah.
next meeting I got this consultant people meet with us. No problem.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
And then the last item is the DDA bylaws. Do you have anything new to add, Mr. Carlisle?
Yeah, well, I shouldn't say unbeknownst to me, it's just simply a matter of forgetting everything that happened. But Brian, thank you to Brian, our resident sleuth, discovered that we did have bylaws prepared January of last year, Brian.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah.
Might have been earlier than that even, yeah,
When we'll put our hands on those, they won't, so the good news is that it doesn't look like bylaws will have to be rewritten. And we'll take a look at those, and they have not been signed. There's probably some details that we want to make sure that are in there, but we'll make sure that we bring those to the board at your next meeting.
All right, very good.
Okay.
So it doesn't look like anybody from the public is here, but I have to ask for any public comment. Nobody's logged in. Any additional comment before we adjourn?
I do have a comment. I just want to let the board know that I mean, it seems like it's easy now, the logo is there and that, but it wasn't easy. I hear, since I moved 2000 here to Independence Township, I hear several administrations talking about those signage, talking about the logo, it never happened. Finally, we get it done. We get approved the logo, we have professional people to design and all that. We are working hard every day. I go to my office, the first thing I ask is, where is gonna be the RFP? We're working on it. We're correcting mistakes and all that. So it seems like it's easy, but it was so easy, why other administration didn't do that? Why it never got done for more than 50 years? Well, we wait until 2023 to get it done, and I appreciate the optimism of you guys that you're willing to put that community and help out, because I need the help, quite frankly. I appreciate you guys coming, says Jose, we wanna create 2 couple subcommittees, we wanna bring input, and I appreciate that, and thank you, because it looks easy, but it wasn't, and finally it's gonna get done, it's gonna be something very positive for community, because I always ask myself, why Waterford, Brandon, Groveland have a welcome sign, says, welcome to Groveland, welcome to Brandon, welcome to Orion, and we cannot even get that for several years, and finally, I'm happy to hear it's gonna get done, and thank you all of you for coming, for dedicating your time, because I know you're taking time away from your family, work to be here and helping our community. From the bottom of my heart, thank you so much.
Okay, awesome. Yes, Kim?
I just wanted to verify the consultant name was Mead West?
Midwest.
Midwest.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So do we have an idea of when the logo, I think you said 1 to 6 months for the logo?
No, the logo is already approved.
Okay.
We already, they already give us the final draft. Each director, we met with the directors, we approved the how it's gonna be in everybody's department. What I was talking about is, soon as we moving forward after our RSVP, we're looking for vendors. It's gonna be to see how we can design the sign. I'm not talking about EDA, I'm talking about other areas in the township. After that, we're gonna be working where is gonna be the locations for other areas, not for Dixie, but other areas. Is to get the permits that we need, depends of the location, it's gonna take up to 6 months, right, Brian?
It could, I mean.
It could, we don't
maybe
know.
45 days.
45 days, we don't know.
Because we also don't know where it's gonna be specifically. Whether
Yeah,
it's
we
gonna
don't
be
know
on
yet.
private property or not.
Are most
Yeah.
of them just gonna be your typical metal sign that says, welcome to Independence Township?
Yeah.
I would assume on all the bleeder roads coming in from every direction, it's just gonna be a road sign, right?
That was basically the intent, yes.
Right.
Okay.
All right.
I would think that at some point, you know, we would do a nicer sign once the realignment of Deer Lake and Big Lake, you know, ever was to happen. Obviously, nothing's gonna change on Dixie, so we need to address it the way it sits, you know, and then the rest of the township, there really isn't any really main thoroughfares coming into Independence Township that don't, you know, come through on a single lane winding road. There's, you know, Dixie's our only big.
Corridor.
And coming off of 75 on the Sashaba, you know, maybe at that point when that corner develops, we allocate land in that developer's plan to put something in or something. And, you know, and maybe coming off the highway heading towards Pine Knob would be another place that the township should focus on a little bit more bold of a identification, you know, off of that, because that's our biggest traffic flow in the township is heading to Pine Knob. So maybe from
Pine
the
Knob,
golf
yeah.
course or someplace over there where we could have something. But I think otherwise, right, it's pretty much going to be just some kind of metal sign just to identify coming in like most townships have now, you
Okay.
know.
It's gonna, yeah, we're gonna try our best to make something different and nicer, but, I mean, have to follow certain safety concerns too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that shouldn't be a big deal.
Well, I have to follow everything by the book, you know?
Yeah, no, I get it.
So, before we adjourn, Sam, you mentioned you guys are going to focus on the Waterford into Independence.
Yeah.
What about the Springfield into Independence? Are you guys going to?
There's a bunch of development that's being proposed there right now.
Okay.
I don't know if, I think I'm not privy to the plan, but I know that there's preliminary, so maybe that's something that Brian and Dick can
Yeah.
also consider with that site plan, that there might be a spot, or there might be, even like pardon?
Carve out,
A carve out for it, because right now they're working on the first property in Independence Township coming from Springfield and I-75. So that, I think that's a perfect time that this came up to discuss that, because now that might be a spot on that. And then you get into where the county owns the property for the future courthouse, which would be another opportunity for us to carve off clip off the corner of the next parcel if it doesn't work out with that first parcel. But this is the time to discuss it, because the first parcel's proposed is in the preliminary stages of planning, as far as I know.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
we asked the applicant to set aside some property. We didn't tell him why yet. So it's, that potential is definitely there.
Okay. Yeah, it seems like a great time, and I just, want to make sure that we're focused on that
Yeah.
side too.
In fact, it could potentially be available faster than, more quickly, let's put it that way, than something on the south end, depending on what happens there. So, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Motion to adjourn, right?
Motion to adjourn.
Support.
All right. Everybody agrees? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right. Awesome. Great meeting, guys.
I love this. Quick. Thank you.